Good evening to all of you faithful viewers of Equinoxe Television. Welcome back from the weekend. It's time for the news in the English language. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our major stories this evening: shock and consternation in Douala as a lady collapses and dies on her wedding day during her wedding party. Manuela was singing to honor her husband when she suddenly collapsed. All attempts to rescue her were futile. The gendarmes in Equinoxe here in Douala, where the incident happened, have opened investigations, and there are speculations that she might have died from a cardiac arrest. We spoke with a cardiologist on how to give first aid assistance to victims. We explain to you more in this news edition. That was our lone news element, our lone news topic. Let's now stay with us for details and more. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. We just told you a while ago that the inhabitants of Douala and those who watched the video which went viral that was over the weekend were in shock and consternation as a lady collapsed and died. That was on her wedding day during her wedding party. The lady whose name we got as Manuela was singing to honor her husband in front of hundreds of guests, her children, and also other people when she suddenly collapsed during the ceremony. And from the viral video we had that was over the weekend, all attempts to rescue her were futile, and also information which our reporters got on from the field say that the gendarmes in Equinoxe have opened investigations, and several persons who attended the wedding ceremony are being questioned by the gendarmes here in the economic capital, Douala. We will be bringing to you details because we made a stop over at their family residence here in the economic capital, Douala. We went also to the mayor's office where they signed their marriage that was on Saturday to get details of what actually happened before the death of Manuela. That was during her wedding day, on her wedding day, during her wedding party. In the course of this newscast, we will be bringing to you the details. Meantime, we told you that speculations arrived that she must have died from a cardiac arrest, and cardiologists say cardiac arrest-related deaths among Cameroonians may be more common than previously due to negligence on the part of victims who seldom visit the hospital for checkups, or those around victims who have limited resuscitation skills. In the report which comes up next, the cardiologist explains the risk factors and how the population can save the life of a victim. Immaculate Fogwe spoke with the medical practitioner.
On the 26th of September, a Cameroonian pilot, Captain George Ayama, died after suffering from a cardiac arrest in a supermarket in Douala. On Saturday, October 26th, a bride known as Sorel Manuela collapsed and died on her wedding day. It is alleged she suffered from a cardiac arrest. Just like these two, there are many of such cases recorded in Cameroon. A cardiologist explains some of the factors that can trigger a cardiac arrest.
At a particular age, let me say at 40, yes, at least an ECG should be done and a cardiac ultrasound. And again, there is a bulk of people that are sick, having hypertension, having palpitation, having congestive heart failure, but since they are fine, they are stopped.
According to Dr. Cabral Tanchu, lack of awareness accounts for the rise in fatalities. He goes further to explain how to behave when confronted with such a case.
Put the patient on a firm surface and make sure that all things that are tightening the patient, probably can have a belt, it can have gowns that are tying much, and we should tilt a bit the head of the patient behind for air, to have access to air. After palpating the neck, the carotid artery, or the pulse, taking the pulse on the arm, we are sure that really there is no pulse. We can start with the massage, the cardiac massage, by folding our hands and pressing at the level of the heart, 30 compressions, and with 2 breaths, mouth to mouth.
To Dr. Cabral Tanchu, it is possible to save a life if those around victims have knowledge on resuscitation.
The patient, usually when it's like that, it looks like the whole village will come and look at the person, and many people will take their phones to snap what is going on. Please, people, let us forget about phones. We should just take the patient a bit far.
Cameroonians are urged to adopt healthy lifestyles and equally go for regular checkup in order to stay safe.
Meantime, 2 gangs of 9 alleged bandits have been dismantled by security forces of the Littoral Gendarmerie region. The arrest follows a series of investigations launched and headed by Lieutenant Colonel Godfrey Zhang. Lucille Yengu Ese has more on their modus operandi.
In the fight against insecurity in the city of Douala on September 1st, 2024, security forces of the Littoral Gendarmerie Legion laid hands on 2 alleged bandits suspected of engaging in a series of robberies. The law enforcement officers say they have been targeting commercial areas and multi-story residences without anti-theft devices during the day or at night. Aged between 30 and 50, their modus operandi was also breaking in from outside or ascending to access upper floors of buildings where they neutralized the occupants, stealing valuable items. Thanks to an operation carried out at Kaifuajip, the suspects, some of whom are ex-convicts, were caught red-handed while they were preparing to rob a large computer store. Further investigations led to the arrest of 3 accomplices, recovery of electronic devices, bikes, a taxi, and other items. While on the night of October 13 to 14, 2024, a group of 4 alleged criminals were successfully apprehended in the Peka 21 neighborhood, still in Douala. This was possible via an operation headed by Lieutenant Colonel Godfrey Zhang and the men of Lieutenant Gregory of the anti-criminal unit, Littoral Gendarmerie Legion. Security forces continue to urge the population to collaborate and report any suspicious activity.
Now in politics, as days run into the electoral year 2025, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement's political party, the CRM, is alarming or arming its militants to conquer. Some grassroots leaders of the party in Douala have been drilled on the electoral process, political engagement, good governance, citizenship, and accountability during a twin event in the Vuri 5 Municipal Federation of the party. Actors say their goal is to take over power from the ruling CPDM party in the year 2025. For me, Armstrong Sander completes the story for us.
In the 32 years of the CPDM party-dominated Cameroon's multi-party landscape, the opposition has repeatedly been blamed of going deep asleep when the ruling CPDM party stays awake, preparing and strategizing to win future elections. To avoid the obvious outcome of failing to prepare, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM political party is already strategizing to win in 2025 and future elections in Cameroon. In the Douala 4 unit of the Vuri 5 Municipal Federation, trainers from the CRM Party Academy drilled militants on the steps, strategies and contours of the electoral process, citizenship and the vision of the party.
Le but principal est de donner la possibilité.
The aim is to arm our militants with knowledge on militancy, political engagement, citizenship, and the electoral process. We also want to drill them on the vision of the party, good governance, and many other topics. We want to have trained militants all over Cameroon, representing the party in every corner. For over 3 weeks, we will train hundreds of militants who will go to the field to train other militants.
J'ai retenu que la femme.
A party militant and participant, Justine Yomjo, says she learned that women must be fully engaged in politics to influence the desired future, not only for themselves, but for their children as mothers.
Si nous prenons ces pays,
she believes that her party, the CRM party, has got what it takes to build a better and prosperous Cameroon. In the same vein, newly elected CRM party officials of the Douala 5 unit of the Vuri 5 Municipal Federation were installed into function in an exercise at their base in Lokbesu, Douala.
We have decided to move from this unit to chase the Biya regime away from power. We will do that beginning with people from my quarter who are fully in support of my activities.
Mes habitants, les habitants de mon quartier.
To the head of the visiting delegation, Eugene Gaha, who doubles as the national delegate in charge of inspection and evaluation, the installation exercise falls in line with a nationwide campaign to enroll more supporters and sympathizers for the CRM party. He is confident that his party is up for a rebirth of Cameroon, calling on his countrymen to join their Renaissance caravan.
In sports, Kenyan athletes who participated at the international marathon in Douala are requesting that the organizers pay them the money which accompanies their trophies. The Kenyans who say they have been abandoned also say they are surprised at the way in which they were left stranded by the organizers after the end of the race, which was presided over by the Minister for Sports and Physical Education, Chief Professor Narcis Mwele-Kombi. Kipchumba Sharon and Bernard Kipkiriu, all from Kenya, dominated the marathon in the girls and men's categories. The organizers are saying they are surprised at the outburst of the athletes. Let's now have the details with Smanjikan Gabriel.
Osgay Bernard Kipkiru and Kipchumba Sharon, all from Kenya, were happy to have won the 2024 edition of the International Marathon in Douala over the weekend, presided by the Minister of Sports and Physical Education, Chief Professor Narcis Mwele-Kombi. As after the joy, the 4 athletes that came from Kenya have been abandoned by the organizers of the competition, who didn't keep to their words.
Our problem is payment. They told us we pay cash, and we expected yesterday to pay us cash. They disappeared. They don't give us a check and say they promise us we will pay cash. If
the athletes knew they were supposed to be paid immediately, the organizers refute the allegation. I'm surprised that there exists a problem about bonuses. We were clear about this, and we're about finalizing the production and the homologation of the results. We did tests on the first 5 athletes in the girls and boys categories. Immediately the results were out. We shall validate the results and proceed with payment. The organizers even went as far as denying the presence of Kenyans in the marathon. I didn't know if they came or not, but I know about 4 other Kenyans who were supposed to be part of the marathon, but immediately I informed them about the conditions. They didn't show up. Few hours to their return to Kenya, these athletes are still having doubts if they will be able to pay the debt they have incurred over in Kenya to participate at the marathon.
So our problem now, we borrow money from Kenya to pay the visas. We pay everything and we borrow money. Our problem is that we request the organizers to give us the money so that we can repay the money we borrow from Kenya.
The problem of unpaid bonuses isn't strange with the International Marathon of Douala, as many participants are still complaining of unpaid bonuses. Since 2023, the call on the Sports and Physical Education Minister to bring order for such things not to repeat itself again.
We told you in the beginning of the news, viewers, we are coming back to this very shocking news element which happened here in the economic capital Douala. That was over the weekend. The people of Douala are still in shock and consternation as a lady collapsed and died. That was on her wedding day during her wedding party. Manuela was singing to honor her husband when she suddenly collapsed. All attempts to rescue her were futile, and gendarmes in Equinoxe have opened investigations. Our reporter, Innocent Azel, went to the family residence here in Douala. He now tells us more in this report.
Everything went well joyfully from payment of her dowry on Friday and Saturday when they officially made their vows before their families, friends and the mayor at the Douala 5 Council. At that juncture, the civil wedding proceeded joyfully with picture taking outside the council premises. No incidents or complaints was recorded throughout the day until around 3:15 a.m. during the wedding reception that a strange breeze of sorrow blew inside the hall, blanketing happiness with shock and agony. With a microphone in her hand, dedicating a love song to her husband, she suddenly fell to the floor less than a minute after her husband joined her. At first, the guests thought it was a spectacular show she put up. A family member narrates that she went and wore her second dress for the entrance of her cake. She decided to first surprise her husband with a special show. Alongside the bridesmaids, she began singing and dancing while her companions went and brought her husband from the table to join her. He did, and when he removed money to spread on her, that is when she fell to the floor. Everyone thought it was part of the show. It was after some seconds that they discovered she was not reacting. Many rushed to help. It was then she was transported to the Douala General Hospital, where she was declared dead. Equinoxe team on Monday went to Sable Bonamusaji, where is situated the hotel and banquet hall that hosted Sorel Manuela and her husband, and the reception activities to have a word with the manager. Unfortunately, her receptionist informed us she was summoned for questioning by gendarmes in Aqua Nord. Talking to her on phone, she did not wish to make a comment on the issue until she is done with gendarmes' inquiry. Manuela's mysterious death remains a shock to the families, particularly to her husband and 3 daughters she leaves behind. Sorel and her husband lived for 7 years together. The wedding was planned in 2020 but was postponed because of the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. Manuela enjoyed her wedding ring for just hours. Family sources say she had no severe health issue.
Sad indeed. May her soul find peace in the Lord. And now we talk something else. We take you to the northwest region of the country, where the weekend was also bloody with the killing of the deputy mayor of the Bamenda 2 Council, and the killing of the deputy mayor actually prompted the senior divisional officer to send out a communique which reads, "The senior divisional officer for Mezam dishearteningly informs public opinion that in the early hours of October 28, 2024, the lifeless body of Mrs. Joko Frida, second deputy mayor of the Bamenda 2 Subdivisional Council, was found in the Nchuobo neighborhood after she was kidnapped by armed terrorists on the 26th of October 2024 at about 5:30 p.m. in her residence at Savannah Street. In this tragic circumstance, the senior divisional officer from Nizam, on behalf of the government, expresses his sincere condolences to the bereaved family as well as to the staff of the council authorities so hardly affected. He also strongly condemns this atrocity committed against an unarmed civilian, a valiant lady who was serving her community and country with a lot of patriotism and devotion. The senior divisional officer for Mezam takes as a witness the national and international community on the repeated barbaric acts of these heartless criminals in their unequivocal logic of systematic violation of human rights and gender-based violence, while reassuring that clear instructions have been given to the competent state services for the purpose of searching and bringing before the judicial authorities the perpetrators of this heinous assassination. Finally, the senior divisional officer for Mezam once again calls on public officials to be vigilant and invites population to actively collaborate with the administrative authorities as well as the defense and security forces in order to prevent all forms of attempts to social cohesion and peace in his territory of command. And that communique was signed in Bamenda on October 28, 2024 by the SDO for the Mezam, Simon Emilmo. And that brings us to the end of the first part of the news. Viewers, don't go away. Talking Points comes up next. Welcome back, viewers. It's still October and we are also still in the business of sensitizing you on cancer, especially breast cancer. And our guest tonight is Velda. She is a breast cancer survivor. Velda, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest on the news tonight on Equinoxe Television. Now, October is dedicated to cancer warriors or sensitization. How do you feel when October is around the corner, especially as a warrior or a survivor of breast cancer?
At first, It wasn't easy, especially for my close friends and my aunts, because my parents too, they are patients. So we had to hide it from them till about September last year, when I had diabetes. I was diagnosed of diabetes, so I was like fighting 2 deadly diseases, diabetes and cancer, and it reached a point that my aunts thought maybe I won't survive. That was when they had to tell my parents that I was sick. That notwithstanding, God blessed me with good friends, home and abroad, close family members, especially my father's younger sister and my mother's younger sister. They took care of me. They foot the bills. Some friends came through, and there's this particular friend of mine in Canada, Miranda. She had to open a GoFundMe page for me. So classmates from secondary school right up to university, they were contributing, well-wishers, my Bafu community especially, they came through. And then even people home and abroad that did not know me, people were calling when they saw my GoFundMe page on Facebook. They were calling, and then they were sending, they raised money. Even up to now, I think the money that I'm still using for my treatment is still coming from the GoFundMe that people contributed for me.
Now, Velda, can you tell us, how did you discover you were infected by breast cancer?
I want to say a big thank you to Equinoxe TV for inviting me to talk a little bit about I think in January last year in my church, PC Bonamusa, they announced a free screening that was supposed to take place at Acha Hospital, Bepanda. So out of curiosity, I said let me go there, because I had 2 friends who had passed on, one in October 2022 and the other one in January. So I just said let me go and try, because I had a lump. I felt a lump on my left breast. So I just said let me go and check on that fateful day. And then I think that was January 20th. I had a shock of my life. Yeah, so I just said let me go and check. So when I went, after the check, I was asked to go and do an echography. After the echography, I was asked to go and do a mammography at Serac. So when I came, the doctor just told me, Velda, we are not going to pamper you or cajole you. If you really want to live, you have to start actions now. So, and then he told me I had stage 4 breast cancer. He just told me I had stage 4 breast cancer, that it was already invasive. I don't know whether is the right word I'm using, that it had already spread, but that I still had hope. Yeah, that it was not a death sentence. Yeah.
Velda Lemgona, when it was announced to you that you have breast cancer, how did you receive the news, and how have you been living with the disease so far?
Particular day, it's like I saw my world coming to an end. It's like I was walking and my legs were not touching the ground. It was like I was floating. I could not assimilate the news. So it took me about 3 months before I really came to terms with it, that I had breast cancer. You know, with news on like cancer, you're cancerous. Most of your daily activities, because the whole of last year I spent most of my time in the hospital. I started diagnosis in February. From February to March, I think March 24th, that I started chemotherapy. I spent almost every day in the hospitals running tests, doing scans, doing the biopsy and all those things. It was really exhausting. It was really exhausting, but I thank God that I came through. It's an experience that I think even my worst enemy, I will not even wish that to my worst enemy, but I had to embrace it, that was the new me. I took it as a new lifestyle. Even though the experience with chemotherapy, it's not a good one because I had to shave. And then each time I have little hair on my head, they'll just be falling off. You know, we used to watch these things on film, so I started living it live.
What about your entourage, Velda? How have they been coping with all what it takes to cater for the needs of a warrior that you are?
First, it wasn't easy, especially for my close friends and my aunts, because my parents too, they are patients. So we had to hide it from them till about September last year, when I had diabetes. I was diagnosed of diabetes, so I was like fighting two deadly diseases, diabetes and cancer, and it reached a point that my aunts thought maybe I won't survive. That was when they had to tell my parents that I was sick. That notwithstanding, God blessed me with good friends, home and abroad, close family members, especially my father's younger sister and my mother's younger sister. They took care of me. They foot the bills. Some friends came through, and there's this particular friend of mine in Canada, Miranda. She had to open a GoFundMe page for me. So classmates from secondary school right up to university, they were contributing, well-wishers. My Bafu community especially, they came through. And then even people home and abroad that did not know me, people were calling when they saw my GoFundMe page on Facebook. They were calling, and then they raised money. Even up to now, I think the money that I'm still using for my treatment is still coming from the GoFundMe that people contributed for me.
Now, talking about your treatment, Velda, how has your treatment been going? We are talking about chemotherapy, etc. What is the frequency of your treatment, and how has it been happening?
When I started chemotherapy, I took 4 sessions. I went for 4 sessions. After that, I had a surgery, a breast surgery. After that, I still had to undergo again 4 chemo sessions, meaning I took 8 chemo. And then after that, I was placed on oral chemotherapy. So basically now, I live on drugs. I live on medication, meaning that after the 8th session of my chemo, I was placed on oral chemotherapy. I had drugs, tablets that I take daily, and then I have an injection that I take after 3 months.
Courage to you, Velda. Now we might also want to know, how much does it cost you to take proper care of your health and live happily or normally?
On the stage of cancer that you have, like me, the first session, we used to spend, each dose we used to spend about 100K Yeah, we used to spend around 100,000. And then the scans to at General Hospital Yaoundé, because after some period you have to do control through scans. We really thank God that the government had to see into it and then subsidize it, because not everybody can afford. It's expensive, so the government subsidized, and then you spend about close to 100,000 francs for a complete body scan. The other medications that I am taking now, you have one for 8,500, you have another one for 140,000, you have another one for 175,000 francs. But the good thing is that since the doctors know that some people cannot really afford, so they always try to connect us to people who distribute. So we buy directly from them at a reduced cost.
Thank you so much, Velda Lemgwana, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. You're a cancer survivor, a breast cancer survivor. You are a warrior, and you also told us off air that you would like to encourage so many persons who are also survivors or who are sick out there of cancer, of breast cancer, cancer of the uterus, or any form of cancer. Thank you so much for accepting to come to Equinoxe Television today. Courage to you, and also quick recovery to all of those sick out there of cancer. And viewers, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for the confidence. Our programs continue. Equinoxe Soir comes up in about 30 minutes or so with Serge Lango 2, and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.